Today, we are digging into the story of a company that completely rewired how we think about travel, about trust, and about what it means to feel at home anywhere in the world. This is the incredible story of Airbnb.
So here's the big question, right? How in the world do you build $100 billion company? We all imagine it starts with some perfect, genius idea that just works from day one. But the real story here? Oh, it's so much messier, way more desperate, and frankly, a lot more interesting than that.
You see, the foundation of this global travel empire wasn't some grand vision for the future of hospitality. Nope, it was a problem I think we've all felt at some point. The rent is due and the bank account is screaming for help. All right, first up, an idea for rent. This is where it all kicks off, and it's not about ambition, it's about pure, simple survival.
Okay, so picture this. It's 2007. You've got two broke designers, Brian Chesky and Gebbia, living in San Francisco, and they're staring down that problem we all dread. Rent is due, and they are flat broke. But then something happens. A huge design conference rolls into town, and boom, every single hotel room is booked solid. All of a sudden, their biggest problem starts to look like a massive opportunity.
And their plan? Oh, it was about as simple as it gets. Go buy 3 air mattresses, slap together a basic website, and start charging $80 a night for people to crash on their floor. They literally called it Air Bed and Breakfast. That's it. No fancy amenities, just a place to sleep and a bite to eat in the morning.
And the crazy part? It actually worked. 3 people, total strangers, paid them money to sleep on their floor. But that little victory was immediately followed by a giant wall of no. When they went to pitch investors, everyone said the same thing. Are you nuts? People will never stay in a stranger's house. The money people thought the entire idea was just fundamentally flawed.
Okay, next chapter, surviving on cereal. Now, this is probably the most famous part of the whole Airbnb story. It's about that moment when they were about to fail and they had to get really, really creative.
So you've got this insane disconnect, right? On one hand, all the experts are telling them no one's going to trust this. And on the other hand, you have the founder's reality. Credit cards buried in debt and a website that was basically a ghost town. The company was flatlining. So what do? Well, out of total desperation, they made a pivot. But it wasn't a pivot in their business model. It was a pivot in how they were going to get money. The 2008 election was heating up, and they spotted another weird opportunity. They figured, hey, if we can't sell beds, maybe we can sell breakfast? I mean, literally sell breakfast. And this is what they came up with. No joke, they designed and sold their own politically themed breakfast cereals. You had Obama O's The Breakfast of Change and Captain McCain's A Maverick in Every Bite. They were in their apartment hand gluing hundreds of these boxes. I mean, it's completely bizarre, right? But it was the lifeline that they absolutely had to have. So how much did this wild cereal scheme actually make them? $30,000. Now, let's be real. In the world of venture capital, that's chump change. It's basically nothing. But for them, in that moment, it was a fortune. It was just enough to breathe, pay down some of that crushing debt, and just survive. All right, section 3, the pivot to people. Because that 30 grand from the cereal boxes, it bought them just enough runway to hit their real breakthrough moment. You know, that whole cereal story, it became their legend. When they applied to the famous startup program Y Combinator, you'd think it was their Airbed and Procrest idea that got them in the door. But it wasn't. It was the cereal. It proved they had this unstoppable grit. One of the investors famously said they were like cockroaches. You just couldn't kill them. And once they were inside Y Combinator, they got a piece of advice that completely changed the game for them. And it wasn't some high-tech, scalable growth hack. It was the exact opposite. They were told, simply, go meet your users and fix their problems by hand. Do things that don't scale. And you know what? They did it. They got on a plane, flew to New York City, which was their biggest market, but still, we're talking tiny. They actually met their hosts, stayed in their places, and just listened. And they realized something super simple. The pictures on the website were awful. I mean, dark, blurry cell phone pics. So they rented a nice camera and literally went door to door taking professional photos for free. That is the definition of doing things that don't scale. And that brings us to our final section, the billion-dollar lesson. Because this is where those tiny hands-on actions start a chain reaction that goes global. The result was insane. It was almost instant. As soon as those new, beautiful photos went live, bookings in New York didn't just go up, they doubled. Then they tripled. By fixing one simple human problem, I can't tell what this place looks like, they had cracked the code. They proved that, yes, people will stay in a stranger's home, as long as they can trust what they're getting into. And that trust, well, it started spreading like wildfire. So let's just step back and look at that journey. 2007, 3 air mattresses on a living room floor. 2008, selling cereal to stay alive. And then, fast forward to 2020, a massive IPO on the stock market. Just an absolutely incredible climb. So what was that IPO worth? On its very first day of trading, Airbnb's valuation shot past $100 billion. Just let that sink in for a second. From 30 grand made on cereal boxes to $100 billion? And why? Because they stopped focusing on being a scalable tech platform and started focusing on solving real problems for real people, one person at a time. So what's the lesson here? What do we take away from this whole crazy story? It's that the perfect idea from day one, it's a total myth. What really matters, what actually builds something huge, is grit. It's that scrappy, relentless drive to solve a real-world problem, especially when the whole world is telling you it can't be done. And that leaves me with one final question for you. What's that scrappy, maybe a little bit crazy, unconventional move you could make to get to that next level? What's your cereal box hustle?